I am excited. This might be the most exciting part of the overhaul I get to do this winter. I needed a new gauge package for the car. I still run just the knockoff part store gauges to begin with. The tach had quit working on me, so I needed a new tach. Pricing it out, it was going to be, I mean, tachs are expensive, they're not cheap. I'm cheap. I came across something like this on my favorite Chinese shopping app, and I had to have it. This is the Tech Racing Dashboard. It's a whole digital dash. I got it on a Black Friday sale on my favorite Chinese shopping app, shipped to my door for $340. It comes loaded with all the sensors, all the wiring, the dash. It's all universal. It's all programmable. I'm pretty excited about it. This thing is going to do not just my oil pressure and my water temp like normal, volts. It also came with an EGT probe for my exhaust gas temps. Comes ready for AFR, the air fuel ratio. I had to buy an O2 sensor, so I bought an O2 sensor for that as well. It's going to do my oil temp. It's going to do manifold vacuum boost if it was a turbo, but it will read vacuum for what I needed to, as well as the tach. It's got the sweet lights that light up as the tach and a tach bar. I'm pretty excited. I love cheesy stuff like this. This is right up my alley. And for the price I would have paid even for a lower end tach, I got all of this stuff. Now it's a 50-50 chance it's actually going to work and it's actually going to hold up. My first impressions, actually quite impressed. The unit feels pretty good. I hooked it up to a battery. The buttons, everything actually seems to work really well. Whether everything's accurate or not, we'll find out. I still have the mechanical gauges to compare it to. So we'll see what happens. I need to rip out the dashboard in the car, and we'll build a new one that'll house this. It'll stay in the same location. The only thing I don't think this does is fuel pressure, so I'll leave the fuel pressure gauge in the car and go from there. So it's going to be a lot of ripping out some of the old wiring and rewiring. These are all electronic gauges. So I got a lot of wiring to do. I'm pretty excited. This is kind of the finishing touch on all the major stuff I wanted to do over on the car. How well is it going to work? I don't know, but I saved up for quite a while to be able to get it, and it's worth just the experiment to me when it comes to this stuff. I love buying cheap Chinese stuff online, mainly just to find out what you get in the long run. We'll see what happens. Alright, so check this out. I've set up my fancy Chinese digital dashboard up to the battery, rigged up the temperature sensors just to get an idea of how accurate it is, if it is at all accurate. This is just a little container of hot water. Got the EGT, oil and water temp sensors plugged in. The oil and water temp are pretty consistent with each other, but they are about 10 degrees warmer than the EGT. That being said, I don't know how well the EGT is going to accurately read in the water, but when I check it to my digital thermometer here, this is more accurate to the EGT than it is to the water and temp sensors. So this water's been out for a little bit here. It's only at about 106 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm gonna put some fresh stuff in there and see too. But overall, I'm gotta say I'm fairly impressed with the look and feel of my Chinese digital dashboard. I guess we'll find out if it takes the punishment of the dirt track. So this is the control module. Basically, all the gauges plug into here, and then it's just a single cable back into the display, transfers all the information. So I gotta find a good place to put this. You know, things are always different all over the world. In other parts of the world, a lot of people call what we call the wiring harness the wiring loom or the engine loom. This stuff here is what we call loom in the Great White North. It's the plastic casing that goes over the wiring harness. This is split loom, where it's got a slice in it and you can actually kind of sleeve it over. I use it as much as I can to help protect the wires. It's pretty heat resistant. So yeah, other parts of the world, get your stuff together and realize what things are really called. All right, well, the wiring inside the engine bay is done. The wiring loom's all in there. It's just reused old stuff. I didn't end up having to buy anything new. But it's in there, it's tidy, it's protected. There's certain areas, this area right here has got plugs on it, and these wires come off here, so when I pull the motor, I can just break these connections here. All that stuff from this side forward will come off, with the exception of the temp sensor and this little vacuum line here. Those will just come off, and we'll break the zip ties off. Down here, all the underneath the intake manifold where this loom goes is all just connections under here, so that'll all come off, but that loom can stay all together when the engine comes out and go back in, so everything's kind of back in its place. Pretty convenient, pretty tidy. I like it. Next step is the O2 sensor. The EGT probe. I had a really hard time finding a weld bung for the O2 sensor. Parts people at auto part stores, be better. Know what stuff like that is, please. Thank you. Always get some anti-seize on the threads of the O2 sensors, or they will never come out. So get this, my EGT probe came with a little collet fitting to tap into the pipe, and then you can thread it in and it pinches and the whole works. Well, I lost it. No idea where it went. Searched this place high and low, can't find it anywhere. So I've made my own. I had an adapter fitting here for an oil pressure gauge and the collet to stick on there, so I drilled them out so it fits the tube, so it fits the probe, and I drilled out the collet on the cap, so it fits super snug on there. It's just kind of a press fit, so it's not even 100% certain that it's going to work. But I can now tap the exhaust pipe with a 1/4 inch pipe thread my oil pressure fitting in there, and thread my EGT probe in. We'll see if it works, I guess. Stupid costs extra. Well, I guess it didn't cost anything but time. Another thing I like to use is these weatherproof style switches for the dash. They come pre-connected and then they're all weather tight. Man, I've seen guys do some pretty crazy stuff. Hot wire in their car, raw wires, switches coming apart at the track. This stops all of that from happening. They're reliable. You pay a little bit more money, but you don't light your race car on fire. That's pretty important, if you ask me. All right, big moment. So everything's wired up. I hope it's wired up properly. We're gonna put power to the unit. We'll see if it works. Battery's on. Oh yeah, look at that. We've got some readings already. 22 degree water temp, 21 degree oil temp, 18 degree EGT temp. I'll take that, because it's about the temperature in the shop right now. I'm a tin basher by trade, so fortunately through work I'm able to get aluminum really reasonably priced. Whenever the supplier has it stocked. This stuff I bought this stuff before Christmas. It's March now, late March. It's been sitting outside ever since. But the problem is I only have a 3-foot brake and these are 4x8 sheets. So I gotta cut myself a chunk out so I can actually use it in the brake. So I'm still not really sure what this is gonna look like yet, to be honest. I'm just gonna start winging it. I kind of took a look in the car. I'm gonna off-center the display just a little bit so I can put the fuel pressure gauge right back where it was in its original location. That'll be easy. It leaves me to roll along the bottom for the gauges. This is going to be recessed in here, so it's actually going to sit kind of flush with that, but I want to make it easily removable. This just screws in the back, but I want to make it easily removable so if I wash the car or it's raining, I can easily pull it out and avoid any water potentially getting at it. Working with pop rivets can be really frustrating. They're finicky. It's hard to keep the metal pinned together a lot of times. Those Coleco type pinners are pretty popular. I've never actually used them, to be honest. I prefer self-tapping screws. I just find a screw that's the same diameter of the rivets I'm using, and then I can screw it all together. I can test fit it, I can hold it in place, and then you pull out a screw and you put in a rivet. Works really well for me. Maybe it will for you too if you have troubles, have a hard time using pop rivets. Alright, well, I think I've got the dash panel done. It was a lot harder than I was expecting it to be, and it's not going to be removable like I was hoping it was going to be. Nonetheless, I think it looks pretty good. I oversized the opening. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to put a layer of gasket. I got some foam gasket that I'm going to stick in there just to help kind of isolate it and protect it from any vibration. It's not going to look the greatest. I don't think it'll end up kind of looking kind of goofy, to be honest. But it'll work. I got my switch panel down here and my fuel pressure gauge. All it needs is a coat of paint, and then we'll stick it in the car. Not so bad. Alright, we're about to do our first startup. See what happens. I know when I power the unit, it fires up like it's supposed to. So we'll prime it. I have to prime it to get fuel pressure because the fuel pump doesn't actually come on until the oil sees, or till the oil pressure switch sees oil pressure. So I'll prime it to fill the carburetor, then we'll fire it up. We'll see how everything works. Success! Cheers to that. Cheers to Larry for always leaving beer in my fridge. Yeah, man, it's a success. Everything worked quite well. All the readouts on the display match what's going on under the hood of the car. It looks cool. The only thing I gotta address is where I've got the safety switch for the fuel pump. It's not picking up enough oil pressure to actually fire the fuel pump, so I got to relocate that, but that's minor. Still works regardless. I got no complaints. Ideally you could say it's a $300 tach. It's a little bit sluggish when the motor's got no load on it. The boner revs so fast. Even my old tach, it wouldn't rev up as fast as the engine would. Who's knocking at the door? Come on in.
Hi.
What you doing?
I was just getting a bit bored, so I wanted to go outside and see what you were doing.
Well, I'm just finishing up. I got my new dashboard in, and I was just telling everybody what's left, or what I think about it.
Okay.
Come sit over here. Let me finish this video. Hey, watch your head there. Come right over here. Maybe right there you'll be okay. Anyways, I just completely forget where I was now that Zenny's kindly interrupted us. Hey, no, but for real, I would have paid $400 for a cheap tach. The Longacre or tachs are in around that $300-400 range to get them to me. If I went up to something like an Autometer, those things are upwards of $600 to get them to me. So it was worth it. Could I have put the disconnected wire back in and made my old tach work? Yeah, I could have, and I still might. Who knows what'll happen? Would that $400 have gone towards shocks or a few new tires, maybe a little more smartly? Yeah, sure, but this was a lot of fun and exciting for me, so I'm into it. $340 shipped to my door, $15 for the O2 sensor shipped to my door, and $10 for a mag pickup that I've ordered and hasn't got here yet, that we'll try and use for the speed sensor. So a little under $400, and it's pretty cool. I haven't seen a dirt track car with anything like that before, and that's what I like to do, something a little bit different. Anyways, I don't know what's next. Rest of the day, I think I'm gonna drink a beer. You wanna have a beer with me?
No.
What? Well, anyways, keep posted.
I would like root beer.
Root beer, hey? Maybe we can do a root beer celebratory. I don't think we have any root beer, do we?
You can always buy some.
That's what you think. Dad spends all his money on race car parts. Anyways, keep posted and I'll keep you guys updated as to stuff that's happening in this shop. I think priority 1 is to clean up this place. It's a dump, eh?
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Beer isn't good for kids, people.